Hi guys, it's Miss Rasmussen. I am making a video. I haven't made a video in a while, but I've been, keeping track of the algebra situation in New York. I've taught in New York City public schools for a long time. Um, I decided to look at the Regents website recently and just check out the Regents that have come out since I moved. And this is one of them. This Regent was put out in August. So as always, I love to use the Regents as a guide to teaching a topic, but of course, to prepare those of you who might be studying for it or taking it, um, it's the best way to prepare. And I love that it's accessible for us. So, to participate in this, ideally you would print this paper, which is from the New York City Regents website. It's the August Regents, the last page. I am also going to have the link in the YouTube video somewhere for you to be able to get that. So take a second and go print that if you're able. The ideal situation would be that you print it, you go along, take the same notes that I'm taking, get some 3 colored highlighters, 3 different colors, a pencil, really get into it because math is not a spectator sport. I always love to say that, and you'll get a lot out of it if you do that. If you go print this and you get those utensils, a pencil, 3 different color highlighters, it'll really help you get ready and study well. If not, just, copy on a piece of paper what I'm writing, but ideally print from here. That way you can save it as a study guide and collect, every time I do a video, you can collect your notes and use it as an example on a similar question. So here we have the last question in part 4 of the Regents. It's the highest point question, 6 points. You get partial credit if you don't get the entire thing right. But I always love these questions as a teacher. I've primarily taught students that struggle, whether it be students with IEPs or other students that just struggle for whatever other reason they might have, because math can be hard sometimes. So I do have a background in that. That's why you'll see a lot of the strategies I use are color coding, taking notes. So the reason I like to pick these questions is because they're the hardest questions. They're the most involved. If you can do these questions, then you can do the other questions that are easier, obviously. Also, it's multi-step question. So I have the chance to, break off little pieces and do specific skill teaching while I'm teaching this question, if that makes sense. So you'll see what I mean as we go. It's just a very loaded question, and it gives opportunity for many side conversations and side topics and skills to be reviewed. So let's get right into it. Jen joined the fan favorite movie club at the local movie theater. At this theater, the cost of admission in May and June remains the same. In May, she saw 2 matinees and 3 regular priced shows and spent $38.50. So if you have your 3 colored highlighters, now's the time to use them. If you still need to print, pause the video, obviously, go print, come back, take the notes that I have. So I always like to do the total in green because it tells my brain that it's the total. So 2 matinees I have in blue, 3 regular priced shows because they're numbers. And if you had me in class ever, you would know that I say that we always have to pay attention in word problems and underline or highlight numbers because sometimes they might not mean anything, very rarely, but 95% of the time they mean something. So in June, she went to 6 matinees and 1 regular priced show and spent $47.50. So it says write a system of equations to represent the cost M of matinee and the cost R of regular price ticket. So that's why I pick the same color for those two things because I know that this is a system of equation question, and I know we're gonna have to do that. So, the way that I like to do it is I always start with the total at the end because it's just easy. And I know a lot of people get test anxiety. I find that doing these easy things first, like, clears the brain and lets the anxiety kind of be less than it would be. I was going to say go away, but it doesn't go away. It just is less. And if you get test anxiety, just pause and take a breath and think there has to be a way that you could start. There has to be something easy that you could do, writing something. And don't let it just like blank. And if you do get that, tell your proctor, I need to go for a walk. I'm getting anxiety. Just do what you can to just enter and do the question, because I'm sure plenty of you have looked and you're like, oh, I know that question. I just got anxiety. So an easy thing to do is just write the total. So both totals are on the side. Now this is going to be May, because we know that we got that from the word problem. And this is going to be June. So for May, how many matinees did she see? We're going to put that there. And then how many regular price did she see? We're going to put that there. So she saw 2 matinees and 3 regular priced. The amount of matinees she saw, you're going to multiply it by the cost, which is M. Just like if we are buying 5 bags of chips, you're going to multiply 5 times the cost of the bag of chips, right? So this is, and these are the little notes I would like you to take as well. Number of matinee tickets. This is the number of regular priced tickets. Then this is the cost. I don't want to draw too many arrows. It'll get confusing. M is the cost, R is the cost. So now we do the same thing for the second equation. How many matinee shows did she see in June? 6. And how many regular priced? 1. So one thing that people get confused about when I'm teaching in algebra, which ideally you would have learned in 8th grade or 7th grade, but sometimes we weren't paying attention, or sometimes we had some sort of disruption in our education, or sometimes the teacher might not have explained it well. So you never write the 1 when you're multiplying a variable by 1. And I'm going to show you why. This is what I mean with the little mini lessons in this question. So let's say 1 times 3 is 3, right? So 1 times R is R. And that's what we put. We just put the product. So then you might ask, well, how come we write 3R in the case of having 3 regular shows? So 3 times 2 is 6, right? 3 times R, there's no way to express this as a product, right? So we just, as mathematicians, have decided that this is how we will express it, which makes sense, you know, once obviously get into the algebra and all that. So that is a little breakdown of why we have a lot of invisible ones in algebra. So the next part, I like that they put for us to see whether Jenny is right or not. She's claiming that she spent $5.75 on each matinee and $9 on each regular show. Is Jen correct? So I know a few of my students at this point would give up, get nervous. Some of you obviously might not at all. You might know exactly what to do, but some students with anxiety would see this and give up. But let me show you how simple this is. So she's proposing or claiming that the price she paid for each matinee is $5.75. And to make it a little more clear, oh, hold on. To make it a little more clear, I'm going to highlight only the M, because we don't need that anymore. I wanted you to see that from the word problem where we got everything. So now I'm just going to highlight the variables to make it a little easier. So now if we rewrite this equation, leaving the space for the variable blank, and then putting our colors. M, remember, is the cost of a matinee, and R is the cost of a regular show. So now she's claiming that the cost was $5.75 for matinee and $9 for regular. So see, you just put it right in there. So now I'm going to break out my trusty graphing calculator, which hopefully you guys have. If not, there is an app. If you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can download the app Calc84. If you have an Android, you can download Wabbit, and then you have like a simulation of a graphing calculator on your phone. So I'm using this. So I'm just going to put it right in. Right like this. Sorry, I'm always bad at lining this up, right? Press enter. And it does in fact equal 38.50. So she's right. Some kids might say, oh, that's it, moving on. You have to check both. This is a system of equation. So I'm writing the second equation. This is May. This is June. So never trust, even if it's a multiple choice and you're trying to test out the options and you get the first one right, don't trust it. Keep going. Do them all. You have to check. Unless you're running out of time for the multiple choice, then that's okay. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm putting that in my calculator. And it equals 43.50. So this is not true. And the way that we would describe that is making an equal sign with a line through it. It does not equal 47.50. So you would say, is she correct? No. Jen is not correct because, and you would rewrite the equation with the correct answer. 6 times 575 plus 9 equals 43.50. Sorry, I know students complain about my fives sometimes, sorry. So that's what you would write. And then you would get full credit. So right now, each section is 2 points. So right now you got 4 out of 6 points. And we're going to try for the next 2 points. Each section is 2 points. There's 3 sections, 6 points. Right now we got 4. Okay, and now we are going to solve the systems of equations to algebraically determine both the actual cost of each matinee and each regular ticket. So now we're going to find the right answer. So this all is going to come from our original equation. So you're going to rewrite the original equations here. So I always like to put steps on the side. So step one is rewrite the system of equations. Systems. So does anyone recall the 3 ways to solve systems of equations? Hopefully you said graphing. That's one. Substitution is another. And elimination is another. So I'm looking at this, and hopefully you learned that extensively. If you're struggling with that, comment on it and I'll make a video dedicated to a lesson on all 3. Well, I have to do 3 videos, 1 of each. Graphically is usually easy. Substitution and elimination is tough. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about when I do this next thing, put it in the comments and I will make you a special video just for that. So I'm looking, because I've done this a million years. Everyone's always like, oh, Miss Rasmussen, you make it look so easy. I've been doing this for a million years. So I look at this systems and I decide that I believe substituting would be the easiest way to get my answer. We could easily eliminate as well. I'm going to do substitution, and then as a bonus, I'll do elimination at the end of the video. In case you don't want to see that, you can just stop watching. So the reason I think that this is going to be easiest is because of this R by itself. Oh. So since R is all by itself there, I know that I can move this over and turn this into R equals negative 6m plus 750. Sorry, 50. Some people, don't copy this, I just want to show you. Some people would write it which is also right. I am just trained to put the variable there because of y equals mx plus b, which some of you might remember. Either way is right. So I'm just going to go with the way that I'm used to writing it, which is 6m in front, negative 6m in front. So now I have a equation that tells me what r equals. I guess I should use pink just to keep it the same. So I can now substitute that into the other equation. That way I only have one variable to deal with. So this is the part that it gets a little confusing. And I need to write a little clearer, sorry. So where did I get this from? Here. Because I solved for R. So you guys might have done a lesson in your algebra class of literal equations, moving formulas, translating formulas. This is why, because you need to be able to move things around. So all I did right now, and let me write that in my steps. Well, my second step was deciding which method to use, which I picked substitution. So my third step was to make one equation equal to R or M. We could have done M, but that would have been annoying. So we made one equation equal to R by moving everything else to the other side, and now we just substitute that in. So now we solve for M. Notice that now in this equation, we only have one variable, whereas before we had 2. It's impossible to solve an equation if you have 2 variables. So we needed to make it have 1. So that's why we moved R and we said, oh, R equals this, and we put it there. So now we distribute. We bring this down. I'm gonna run out of room. Gotta get to my calculator. 3 times -6. You might think it's silly that I'm doing that, but I always encourage everyone to please use a calculator, even for the most simplest tasks, because you don't want to make a mistake. You might think I've been teaching a million years that I shouldn't make a mistake when I'm doing simple math, but you never know, especially if you're in a rush and you're feeling stressed. So just use a calculator. So, and now this equals 3850. Follow? The -18 is because +3 times -6 equals -18. Now we have to combine like terms. So we have 2m minus 18m. Again, go to your calculator, just do 2 minus 18 is -16m. A lot of my students forget to put the m back, and they just will write 16, and then they will be completely lost. So make sure you're doing the right signs, keeping your variables where they need to be, and then you'll be fine. So what do you think? Now this looks like something that you're familiar with. Let me move out in case you want to take those notes, sorry. So what do we do next? We subtract 142.50 on both sides. So 38.50 minus 142.50 is, I'm going to move up here. The -16 stays. We didn't do anything with that yet. And then here we have -104. What do we do next? Divide by -16. I definitely need more room because we're not done yet. So we found the matinee price. So I'm going to color that blue because matinee, the R was pink, remember, the M is blue. Now, I'm not done yet. Anytime I get to this point and I'm teaching, the kids are like, ah, rolling their eyes because they think they're so excited they found it, and then we're not done yet. So now we just pick any equation, but I always pick the one I didn't use last time. So that would be the top one. And, oops, fill that in, substitute what we found. I had a student today actually using the equation that we created. I would just advise against that because I've gotten into some hairy situations with that. So use the ones that they give you, whichever one you didn't use to find the other one. So now you go to your calculator. 2 times 6.5 is 13. What do you do next? Subtract 13. Bring down the 3R. 38.50 minus 13. 25.50. We're almost there. We gotta move one more time. What do we do now? Divide by 3. So, the way that you would differentiate these from the mess of all the math that you just did is box them in. And you might want to be careful and make sure you can write somewhere in a sentence that matinees cost $6.50 and regular costs $8.50, but If you don't and you box them in and make it clear that those are your answers, then you'll be fine. So I know this was a little long, but these questions are the hardest ones. I'm going to be doing a series where I do these hard questions of pretty much every Regents. I'll do them till they run out, whichever ones are available online, because I think they're not always the same topic. They are often system of equations, I will say, but they're not always systems of equations. Sometimes they're quadratic, sometimes they're other topics. So stay tuned because I'm going to do a series of all 6-point questions of Regents. And like I said, now I'm going to go and do elimination. I'm going to need another page for that. So if you want to see the elimination method for this question, stay on. If not, stay tuned for my next video. I also have a surprise this year that I'm going to hopefully roll out by the end of the year. Stay tuned to find out more. I'll give little hints there, here and there of what that is. Hopefully you really learned something. If you didn't print out and take the notes the way that I suggested in the beginning this time, try it next time and just see the difference of how much you retain. I promise you, as a teacher for all these years of struggling kids, it's a game changer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do elimination now. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can keep up with me and be alerted when I put new videos out. I'm gonna be doing them on a almost daily basis now with these 6-point questions. So now let's look at elimination. So we did substitution with this question. We could have done elimination. So I'm going to rewrite the systems up here. And show you how we could do it with elimination. Sorry. Everyone complains about my 4s and my 5s. So here, I'm going to write elimination up here. So if you remember, if not, it's okay. That's why you're doing this. To eliminate, we have to let one variable cancel out. So we have quite a few options here. My easiest option that I see is going to be to multiply the bottom equation by -3 so that we end up with a -3r in the middle, and we can cancel that out. We could multiply the top by -3 as well, and then we would end up with a -6m and be able to cancel those two m's out. So we have our options here, but for me, this is what I find to be the easiest. So you have to distribute whatever you multiply by to the entire equation. So that's a common mistake that I see. So I'm going to rewrite the top one because we didn't change it. Then I'm going to multiply this new one. I'll do it in red so that you can see. So -3 times +6 is -18. -3 times invisible 1, remember, is -3r. And I'm going to definitely need my calculator for this one. -3 times 47.5 is -142.50. You might recognize that number from before when we did substitution. So these cancel out. We eliminated the r, right? And now we add these. So 2 minus 18. Remember I said always put in your calculator. Don't make any silly mistakes that you don't need to make. And then 38.50 minus 142.50 is -104. You might recognize these numbers because they're the same numbers that came up when we did it substitution, because it's the same solution we're going to get. It's just different methods. So now we divide by -16. And we get m equals 6.5. So, oops, matinee costs $6.50. Now, same situation as before. We use the top equation because the one that we didn't really do anything to. And we fill in the m that we found. So this is going to be $13. Right? subtract 13, bring down the 3r, and subtract 13 from 3850. We end up with 2550. Sorry, I keep putting my head down. And r equals 2550 divided by 3, 850, which is what we got when we substituted. Right? I have to make sure. Yes. So this is, sorry, and I know I did a little fast. I know it's been a long video, so I don't want to keep you on too long. So that's how we do it with elimination. You obviously don't have to do both methods. Pick a method. We could have done graphing, but that's kind of only, I mean, you can do graphing anytime you want, but I only like to do graphing when I have both equal to a variable, preferably the y. So hopefully you found this helpful. Like I said, I'm going to be making almost daily videos of part 4 questions until we run out. If you look on the Regents website, you'll see we have quite a few past algebra Regents to go through. So I'll be doing this. So make sure you subscribe so that you know when I post a new video. And yeah, put in the comments anything you might want me to cover, anything you might have been stuck on, and I'll be happy to make an extra little help video. Thanks.